Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and here is your detailed Australia-wide weather forecast update for Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. A lot of detail to get through today, so stick around to the end of the video, subscribe if you haven't already and leave a like on the video while you're at it. But let's get stuck straight into things today, starting things off with what looks to be the elephant in the room is that massive low pressure system swirling in the southern reaches of the Tasman Sea. Now, whilst it is absolutely thrashing New Zealand right now with some damaging and locally destructive winds and some very heavy rainfall moving into the region, it is an impact or an impact producer to the East Australian coastline as well. In fact, we are looking at some locally damaging winds along the East Australian coastline, especially down into the southeast of New South Wales and along the northeastern coast of Victoria, along the eastern fringes of Victoria and into the east coast of Tasmania. There isn't anything too crazy going on there in terms of maximum wind speeds and damaging wind speeds and whatnot, but you can see as we zoom in on some of the wind observations around Mallacoota and then up through Batemans Bay and Narooma, we do have some locally damaging winds there. Mallacoota at Gabbo Island Lighthouse at 57 kilometres an hour out of the southwest, and then 50 kilometres an hour at Cape Green, and winds are slightly more moderate up on the New South Wales coastline than what I expected, but still 20 to 30 kilometres an hour with some stronger wind gusts embedded in there. Winds are still quite strong at Hogan Island and Wilson's Promontory as well at 70 kilometres apiece there, and there's a ship down into the Tasman Sea as well, 70 kilometres an hour out of the south, so winds are still quite strong here with this low pressure system. It is a very big storm. In fact, dare I say that this is a monster of an extratropical cyclone here. It's extending from, or the southern flank of this system here, extending well south of Tasmania, and the northern flank of this system here, north to a latitude comparative to around Bundaberg. So it is a massive extratropical system, this one here. So it's very good news that it isn't going for the Australian coastline at all, but still a significant impactor for New Zealand and some significant winds blowing off into the southeastern reaches of Australia. And if we take a look at the forecast modelling here, conditions are only set to improve as this system slowly moves towards New Zealand. In fact, it's expected to intensify a little bit further throughout the course of today as it gets itself up towards the North Island through tomorrow afternoon. But conditions and wind speeds will ease off along the East Australian coastline throughout the remainder of today. So there is some good news on that. No severe weather warnings are current. I did feel that maybe a damaging surf warning or even a severe weather warning for locally damaging winds across parts of the eastern Victorian coastline would probably be necessary for an event like this, but I guess it just doesn't quite qualify, and that's completely fair enough. This system here is a long way away from the Australian coastline, and it's also not providing any meaningful impacts at this point in time. So if it is a little bit gusty along with the New South Wales, especially the Victorian coastline, now you know exactly why that is. But in terms of severe weather impacts, we're not expecting anything crazy. Looking long range for New South Wales, we do have a little bit of rainfall coming in sometime around Monday or Tuesday into the mid-north coast and into the northern rivers section, probably more so into the northern rivers actually, north of Taree and up through Campsie, Port Macquarie and Coffs Harbour. Rainfall will be heavy at times, and this is going to be coming through from a low pressure system that's going to meet up with some moisture coming in from the northeast through the Coral Sea, and that's going to lead to some rainfall accumulations which could be slightly more significant than what we would like to see along the mid-north coast through Monday and into Tuesday morning. This is then expected to develop into a proper low pressure system as it races down into the Tasman Sea. Now, if this did linger closer to the New South Wales coastline, this would be problematic, but at this point in time, this weather event here doesn't look like anything too serious or anything, something to get your knickers in the twist. This is not going to be significant severe weather for the New South Wales mid-north coastline, and you can see that from rainfall accumulations. Falls between 25 to 75 millimetres do look to be kind of the most widespread number that's being thrown around here. Taree expecting about 25 millimetres of rainfall. Now, give it another couple of days, the water levels are still, New South Wales coastline is still absolutely saturated, and they don't need another drop of rainfall, let alone 75 millimetres of rainfall coming through. But river levels are now beginning to drop, and the further out that this rainfall does fall, and now it's looking like it's going to come in Monday night into Tuesday morning in a pretty quick deluge. So we're still looking at rainfall coming through in about 5 or 6 days. It's plenty of time for these rivers to continue dropping, and I don't think 75 millimetres is going to cause the problems that some people might think any more rainfall will cause in the northeast of New South Wales. So in short, don't panic about this. This is some weather that is going to get some media attention, and it's probably going to get hyped up quite dramatically. If you do feel like preparations are necessary, especially if you live in an extremely flood-prone location and you flood or experience flooding multiple times a year, especially if you flooded last round of flooding in some of the minor flooding that came through for some locations, maybe it is a good idea to think about some very minor level preparations. But at this point in time, any preparations for major population centres is a complete waste of time, and I really don't see more than 100 millimetres coming through at this point in time. And the reason for that is because this low pressure system is going to be moving very quickly towards the southeast. So even though we're going to get this moisture band coming in from the Coral Sea here, and it is going to be a lot of moisture streaming in from the northeast towards the east, and that's the type of rainfall that we saw, the 700 millimeters coming through for a week across the mid-north coast of New South Wales in the week just past. And that rainfall normally would be problematic, but because it's just not going to have a big time window to fall, I mean, it's just going to be a couple of hours of rainfall before it drops off pretty much completely through Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. The rainfall is just not going to have enough time to fall. Even if it is heavy, it's just not going to have enough time to fall and create those big time rainfall accumulations. So I hope that that is the peace of mind that you're looking for across New South Wales. Yes, there's a bit of rainfall in the forecast, but is it problematic? Most likely not at this point in time. Minor flooding, just considering the magnitude of the soil moisture levels across New South Wales. We haven't actually looked at the soil moisture values map for quite a while since the wet season just gone, and we are looking at moisture values of around 98, 99, even 100% in some regions here. So the fact that the soil is completely saturated is a little bit of a concern, but I don't think that this rainfall is going to cause any flooding problems whatsoever. And I do say that quite confidently as well. I'm not saying that to reassure people. I say that with a high degree of confidence that we're not looking at rainfall that's going to cause problems at this point in time. We do have a little bit of rainfall coming in for southwestern, central and the coastal central parts of Queensland as well, interestingly enough, especially as we get out towards late June and late May and into early June. This is highly unusual rainfall for this time of the year. We've had that mid-level cloud band moving through into the northwest of Western Australia over the last couple of days. That's now cleared out of Western Australia and moved into the Northern Territory as forecast. And there are some accumulations we have to talk about across parts of the Northern Territory between 25 and 75 millimetres overnight. I believe the Alice has picked up around 40 millimetres of rainfall. I could be a little bit wrong on there. I haven't actually checked this morning, but that's just my estimate based off what the radars look like overnight. And we've got some moderate falls now moving into the extreme western half of Queensland, just south of Urugandi and Mount Isa. Rainfall accumulations are going to pick up there throughout the remainder of today. We're expecting light to moderate falls into southwestern Queensland, and more moderate rainfall is going to pick up tomorrow as we get some moisture meeting up from the Coral Sea into the central or eastern half of Queensland, north of Claremont and Emerald and Dingo. Just in this general area here, we could be seeing some relatively decent rainfall accumulations through tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening. This rainfall will then continue tracking towards the coastline through Thursday night and into Friday morning, and that will meet up with some moisture coming up from the Coral Sea, and a coastal trough is likely to develop through Friday that could funnel ashore some pretty significant rainfall accumulations, possibly even triple figure rainfall accumulations through Friday and into Saturday, the last couple of days of May. Heavy rainfall is going to be most likely after around lunchtime on Friday, and most likely in locations south of Mackay, especially through Ogmore, Yeppoon, Rockhampton along the coastline. Of course, so Rockhampton will likely be slightly lighter in the terms of rainfall there. Agnes Water, Gladstone, and then down towards Bundaberg and Harvey Bay. Rainfall accumulations shouldn't be anything too crazy along the Sunshine Coast, and I'll get to southeast Queensland in just a second. Rainfall clearing out through Saturday just in time for June, the first day of June on Sunday, where just a few more showers are expected to move through those areas there. But coastal trough is expected to develop, and we could be seeing a couple of convergent zones out of this. Of course, we're now talking about much cooler sea surface temperatures that don't have quite the prominence in terms of creating evaporation here. So rainfall accumulations are, of course, going to be quite lighter. If we saw this type of rainfall coming through in March, we'd be talking about 400 or 500 millimeters coming through. So that is a very good thing that we're seeing this coming through in late May, when the sea temperatures are, of course, quite a lot colder than what they normally are for this type of weather event here. But like I said, some relatively decent rainfall accumulations anywhere south of Proserpine and Hamilton Island has a chance of picking up 25 millimeters, and that runs south through the entirety of coastal Queensland down to the border between New South Wales and Queensland between Friday and Saturday. The chance of up to 25 millimeters for a lot of locations there. Inland places as well, Claremont, Emerald and Dingo through Thursday afternoon and evening could also pick up about 25 millimeters, but the more serious rainfall accumulations start along the coastline. Mackay should pick up about 30 or 40 millimeters of rainfall, and then around the Yeppoon area or around the areas adjacent to the Rockhampton area along the coastline, triple figure rainfall accumulations are a possibility, and that's also a signal that has been given by multiple forecast models at this point in time. Great congruency between major forecast models, especially between the east and west, the axis, and I also believe, I don't know what's just happened there, and I also believe the GFS forecast model, some really good model congruency here with the heaviest of accumulations between Rockhampton down towards Agnes Water. Agnes Water and Gladstone in itself should pick up about 50 to 75 millimeters, Bundaberg closer to 40 millimeters, and Fraser Island between 40 and 60 millimeters as well. The rainfall will be heaviest on Fraser Island the further north you get, so take care if you are 4x4ing up on the northern parts of Fraser Island. And some relatively decent rainfall accumulations as well expected into the southeastern corners of Queensland, especially through Friday night and into Saturday morning. We could be seeing a southeasterly flow come through, which could leave some pretty heavy showers in some of the rain gauges through Friday night and into Saturday morning. And isolated heavy falls turning to widespread and moderate heavy falls through Saturday and into Sunday are a possibility around the southeast corners of Queensland. Heaviest rainfall accumulations will be through the Gold Coast, hinterland, and into across the border around the mountains adjacent to the coastline on the New South Wales side of things, but some heavy rainfall accumulations with falls up to 30 or 40 millimetres also possible through some of the suburbs around Brisbane and the Gold Coast. It'll be interesting to see exactly what rainfall's expected for this part of Queensland. I'm itching to see the convective forecast models, which will become available to us for Friday on Thursday, and then the weather systems on Saturday, they'll come available to us on Friday morning. I'm itching to see what they look like, so stay tuned in the next two weather updates in the morning for those. They'll paint a very accurate picture on what we can be expecting through southeastern Queensland and also through central Queensland as well. I feel like the convective forecast model is going to absolutely nail the forecast. It's just going to be a lights out home run from those convective forecast models. So that's why I'm very, very excited to see exactly where the rainfall is going to be falling and exactly how much we are expecting for some of these locations. So Eastern Australia is busy in terms of the weather world. We do have a little bit more rainfall coming through for the northwest of Western Australia as well, but that's going to be coming through in the first week of June, and that's going to be dragged in through another northwest cloud band, so more rainfall expected up in the northwest of Western Australia, surprise, surprise, but that's going to be pulled in by a powerful series of cold fronts that's going to come through into the southwest of Western Australia. So I'll go to the WA rainfall event up here in the Pilbara and the Kimberley in the next couple of days, because again, the details are still quite murky on that right now. But serious rainfall accumulations are now a possibility into the southwest of Western Australia. So let's break that down for you right now. Enjoy the last day of relatively fine conditions across the southwest of Western Australia, especially through the Perth metro area, because the rainfall is expected to return from about lunchtime tomorrow, with isolated heavy to intense rainfall accumulations possible with thunderstorms where we could be seeing up to 25 millimetres tomorrow night and into early Friday morning, as a strong cold front dives down towards the southwest and drags a heavy band of showers and thunderstorms with it through Friday and into late Friday and into early Saturday morning. We'll likely be seeing a series of shower bands and frontal bands moving through into the southwest of Western Australia, especially through the southwest Cape. Some relatively serious rainfall accumulations there are expected, and again, because the sea temperatures are just so warmer offshore from the southwest of Western Australia, rainfall is likely to be on the upper echelon of what the forecast models are suggesting at this point in time. So if they're saying up to 25 millimetres or 30 millimetres, which looks plausible through Thursday and Friday, we're probably going to get on the upper end or even on a little bit more of a higher side than that as well. The good news is showers through Friday night and into Saturday morning making it out into the wheat belt, and some heavier falls can be expected out there. Rainfall easing off through Saturday, and it will be, for the most part, a finer day on Sunday. A few clouds lingering and a few showers here and there through Sunday before a powerful cold front whips up from the south on Monday, and this one here is going to have a pretty strong low pressure system attached to it. Heavy rainfall expected to continue through Monday and into Tuesday as this cold front slowly jogs towards Perth, and it is going to be a powerful one indeed. Strong winds can be expected through Tuesday and into Wednesday before this low pressure system finally makes its landfall on the West Australian coastline, moves into the Great Australian Bight through Wednesday, and drags the potentially severe weather away from the West Australian coastline through Thursday and into Friday. But this will be a multi-day frontal band moving through. Heavy rainfall expected, of course. It's still a little bit too early to be telling exactly how much rainfall is expected, but you can think of this weather event as having two parts. The first part's going to be with that lighter rainfall. It's going to be that more typical cold front on the stronger side of things, not likely to be severe warned though, and we'll likely be seeing up to 30 or 35 millimetres through the southwest regions of Western Australia and up to 20 millimetres through Perth through Thursday, Friday and into Saturday morning. Rainfall accumulations as high as 80 millimetres expected through the southwest Capes, 100 millimetres expected in the hills, and up to about 60 millimetres expected through the Perth metro area between Sunday, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, as this stronger cold front makes its passage through the southwest of Western Australia, which could lead to some relatively significant rainfall accumulations through the southwest region of Western Australia in all through the first week of June or so. So again, we will be keeping close tabs on that at this point in time. But yeah, in terms of the other interesting stuff happening around Australia in terms of weather, there's not an awful lot more to be talking about. A few showers here and there across the interior parts of New South Wales, but nothing in the way of significant severe weather, and unfortunately no rainfall for South Australia, Victoria or Tasmania, or meaningful rainfall through South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania at this point in time. That massive cold front still swirling offshore from the southeast corners of Australia. This is a real monster of a system, that's for sure. Pressure of 988 millibars at this point in time and rapidly deepening as well. That's definitely our top story for today. But on that note, that is all that I have time for. A special shout out, of course, the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. Again, I could not run this show without them, and their support is much appreciated. But that is going to be all for me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.